Hello Year 6 parents and carers. I'm really sorry that I'm unable to do the curriculum evening in person, but hopefully this video will just give you a little taster and a bit more information about what to expect for your child in Year 6. So I thought I would start off by showing you around the classroom. Here we have all of the desks in their rows, and then if we go over here to our World War II display, here we've got lots of books and different artefacts, various bits that the children have brought in as well. At the moment the children are really enjoying getting stuck into this topic, really enjoying exploring the different sources and artefacts and just exploring this topic further. Over here we have our extension maths table. This is for when children finish their work and they need a challenge. So there are various things that they can try, such as Sudoku. They can play card games with their partner, they can read maths books, try problems of the day. I've also got at the back here some maths comprehension cards, and it's all just to really extend their learning once they've finished, rather than just reading a book or something else. It's really helping them to develop their maths skills. Over here is our book corner. If you've met me already, you will know that I'm book mad. Can't go past a charity shop without buying a book. Glad I've got a school to hold of these books for me. But anyway, they're here for any of the children if they want to borrow them, take them home. Underneath here they've got their level books that they choose each week as well. Our dictionaries and thesauruses. We've got things like newspapers, magazines, topic books and picture books as well. So there's something for everyone here.
Here we have our yearly overview of topics. As you can see, in the autumn term the children study World War II. We do usually have a dress-up day towards the end of autumn 2 nearer to Christmas, where the children dress up in World War II style clothing and we have a mock kind of VE Day celebration. Due to COVID restrictions we may have to adapt that day slightly, but I will let you know as soon as we do what the procedure will be for that day. In the spring term the children learn all about the Victorians, and then in spring 2 the children can dress up in Victorian clothes and come in and we have a school day in the style of what a Victorian school might have looked like at that time. In the summer we will be preparing for our SATs and then doing some geography skills linked to our Havana Class project. And again, if we are allowed to, hopefully we'll be able to have an end of year 6 production to kind of celebrate the end of the year and give the children drama skills and allow them to perform to you all. In DT this half term the children will be designing and making their own World War II gardens featuring Anderson shelters and probably a vegetable plot as well. Very excited already as we've begun to plan and design them in groups of 3 already. We do have most of the materials to make them in school, but if I could ask your help for things we particularly need, such as shoebox lids and natural resources like pebbles and twigs, if you have any of those lying around your garden or at home, we'd really appreciate any of those brought in to help us make them. We are also looking for newspaper articles, particularly ones that will sort of engage the children and are appropriate as well. So if you do see a sort of interesting article, if you could cut it out and send it in with your child, that would be brilliant. Thank you. A really exciting part of Year 6 is for all of the pupils to become prefects, something that they were all really looking forward to, but sadly due to our COVID restrictions we've been able to begin that, as most of the roles involve working with other teachers and working with other children as well. We are going to be reviewing this half-termly, so we'll look at after half-term if we can carry this out. If not, perhaps we will think about how we can maybe adapt the roles so that they can still carry them out, but safely as well, because I know this was something the children were really looking forward to and keep asking me about, so I'm really keen to think of a way that we can still do this and give the children the responsibility and ownership of something that belongs to them, but I'll keep you updated on that. Homework is particularly important in Year 6 as it not only helps the children to consolidate some of the learning they've done in class, but also help them prepare for secondary school, the increased workload that they might get there, and also independence as well. In order for the children to help manage their time, and again in preparation for next year, they have all been given a homework diary which is combined with their reading record as well to make things a bit easier having it all in one place. So in Year 6 they'll have 4 different types of homework. So reading, we would expect most of the children to be reading 4 to 5 times every week, if not a little bit more, and 20 minutes a day is a really good amount for your child to be doing. Obviously more is fine as well. The maths and the English, whereas in year 5 they were alternating this, so doing maths one week and English the other, they'll now be set maths and English every week. Each of these we'd expect them to spend about 30 to 45 minutes per week. The maths is all online, so all on Mathletics, and the tasks they'll be given will be based on things that we've been recently learning in class, so it won't be new learning or things they did ages ago. It should be something that they've already covered in class. The English will usually be a grammar type activity, and they will be taking these home in blue homework folders. The spellings are almost the same as last year. They will be given a new spelling rule every 2 weeks on a Monday, and then we'd expect them to write 10 words in their green logbooks over those 2 weeks, as well as practice them at home and understand which spelling rules go with which words. So for example, this spelling rule they've been learning the ending shus, so it would be good for them to see which words are C-I-O-U-S, which are just I-O-U-S, and which are T-I-O-U-S. So not only just recording the words, but actually practicing that rule at home, maybe, mini quizzes, things like that, are all really, really useful in supporting your child with this. We did last year expect children to be writing these in sentences in yellow logbooks. We've decided to change that now. Something that came out of lockdown learning was that we introduced a program called Ready Writer, which is the same login for children as their Mathletics password. So if you go onto Mathletics or type in Ready Writer, you can easily just log in with your child's Mathletics login, and the rule every 2 weeks will be the rule. There's games on Ready Writer that they can practice this rule on. So instead of the sentences that we're doing in year 5, they can just spend the time online on Ready Writer practicing the games with that rule, so they don't need to record anything extra on paper. So just to go over that again, for the spelling they need to record 10 words in their logbook and practice this on Ready Writer too. So that will be again about 30 to 45 minutes every 2 weeks. For some children who find spelling particularly tricky, that might be a little bit longer, and for some children who find spellings quite easy, it might be more 30 minutes every 2 weeks. The Ready Writer, and I can check that online to see if they've done that. But as for the logbooks, if they could hand that in every 2 weeks on the Monday, that I can just check that they've got the right rule and that they're understanding which words go with that rule. We would approximately say that it should be about 3.5 hours per week, which sounds quite a lot. However, that is including the reading time as well. So it shouldn't be too much more than year 5, and it's a good amount to kind of help them prepare for sort of year 7, 8 and 9, where it can build up to about 10 hours per week. So we hope this will be useful in terms of that progression of building their independence and their kind of workload up a little bit, but not so much that it's overwhelming for them. If you feel that it's taking a lot longer for your child to complete the homework, or it's not really challenging enough, please just arrange to come and see me and we can talk that through. That's fine. With their homework diaries, they'll be recording their homework in there. So in year 5 they had set days where they had their maths. I think it was a Thursday the homework was given out, and then it was in on a Tuesday. Now again, to help them prepare for next year, the maths and the English will be set on different days, so there is no set day that it will be. So it could be that I give them the Mathletics on a Tuesday and then it's in for the following Tuesday, or it might be that I set the English on Friday and they have to give it in Monday. So usually I'd give them the weekend, so they'd have at least 3-4 days to do this. I'd never ask for homework in for the next day, because I understand some children have commitments outside of school. There are odd days that they aren't able to do that work, which is completely understandable. So hopefully the homework diary will be recording it in there together in class. So if you could sort of keep a look at that every week, sign it weekly, just to check that your child's sort of on track with what they should be doing. As I said on the previous page, children's reading records are now combined in their homework diaries. When children read, if they could write a comment in the comment box up to sort of 4 to 5 times per week, that will just ensure that they're reading the right amount, and they're also thinking about their reading as well. So things that they could write in the boxes, things like discovery of new vocabulary, new words, perhaps they've looked something up or asked an adult, that's all really useful. Perhaps they've queried some punctuation that they've seen, they've spotted some literary techniques, or some facts they've learned, or something they've realised in the book. All of these are really useful things to comment on. I think sometimes children are not quite sure what to write. Sometimes they just write, oh, great book, or it was exciting, it was fun, it was funny. If you could really encourage them to write a little bit more in depth, really pick out something prominent that they've read about or seen, this will really help develop their language. Definitely something that I've noticed in class with year 6 is a lot of them, their vocabulary could do with improving. So thinking about the books that they're reading, that they're challenging enough. Our levelled books at school are really good for that. Although they're probably not the most exciting of texts, they will really help push your child's vocabulary, and they introduce new words as the books progress through reading levels. We'd still obviously encourage children to read books of their choice as well, so the reading that they do 4 to 5 times a week doesn't have to be their level book. It could be a book of choice from home or something they've borrowed from school also there. So as long as they're reading, it could be lots of different things that they're reading. It doesn't have to just be the level book, even though we would encourage them to read some of that per week. I think often in year 6, children are becoming much more independent with their reading. A lot of parents probably think, oh yeah, and I don't need to read my child anymore, but I would really recommend still encouraging hearing your child read, even if just a couple of times per week, questioning them, and just talking about the book together, talking about the language that they're discovering. It's really, really useful. Even reading to your child is really beneficial as well, because they're hearing how the book should be read, they're listening to your intonation, and noting that punctuation as you're pausing, which they'll pick up, and it will definitely show in their writing. So if I know it's hard with timings and things, but if you do have the time to do that, even if it's just once or twice a week, it would really be useful for your child. We talked about spellings on the previous page, so I won't go through that again. And just to say that we've started the spelling activities, but the maths and the English and reading writing will begin on Monday the 21st of September, because I know some of you have been asking, or they haven't seemed to have any homework yet. We just took a few weeks just to settle them in, get used to the reading schemes and how to record that. So we'll hopefully start on the Monday, and you'll soon see in their diaries that they'll have that recorded in there. As for the types of books that they should be reading, I mentioned obviously to read a wide range of texts. There are really great books out there, like I know the Tom Gates books, the Jacqueline Wilson books, the David Walling books that really, really appeal to children. But what we can often see in year 6 are for children who just sort of read just these books, the same set of books, we often see their writing sounds a little bit like them. So if you can try and encourage your child to read a wide range of texts, there's plenty on the year 6 reading list that I gave you. I've got a great collection in the classroom. They're welcome to borrow any of those books. It will just help them to see different writing styles, and again, we should see that impacting on their writing too. Here are the year 6 half-termly spelling words to be practiced every half term, ready for the test at the end of this. This has been stuck into their yellow books, which I think they've all brought home now. Whereas before we would ask for the yellow books in with their sentences, that can be now kept at home and can just be used solely for practicing these words. We will again email and let you know in the newsletter when those tests are, so that your child can prepare, particularly in the week before. But if they could kind of practice them every couple of weeks, that would be really useful also. Like in year 5, we would encourage your child to have their own pencil case. Something simple like the picture on the page is absolutely fine. I think you can get these in Poundland or the 99p store really, really cheaply, and they hold quite a lot of pencils and things in there. So if we could try and avoid this sort of Smiggle style ones that are fantastic, wonderful pencil cases, but don't actually hold a lot in them, that would be great. We provide your child with a handwriting pen and of course all the other equipment that they need. However, if they'd like to start bringing in their own things, again just taking ownership of their own equipment, that's something great that they can start in year 6 if they want to. Just a few reminders. I'm sure you're aware of your child's PE day now, which is on a Tuesday and a Thursday. Show and tell is on a Friday. If your child's particularly got some learning they've done outside of school or perhaps an achievement, they'll be able to show that on that day. If perhaps we've overrun with lessons or time hasn't allowed for that, I'll make sure that they get a day at some point the following week to show that. It's really important that they can share and celebrate each other's achievements. Our library is currently shut at the moment, but if your child wants to borrow any books at all, they can come and borrow any from the classroom. If there's a particular book your child's after, I am always trailing through charity shops and things, so if there's a particular book they want, just tell them to speak to me and I can keep an eye out for that book and see if I can get one. We will be watching Goodnight Mr. Tom and Ethel and Ernest towards the end of autumn too, so nearer Christmas. Just want to remind you that they're both PG films. Will go really well with our World War topic and really help them to, you know, think about comparing Goodnight Mr. Tom book to the film. However, they do have some quite sad events happening in them. If you're worried about your child seeing over these films, please just arrange to come and chat to me and we can talk about that. If you want to contact me, you can use the staff address, which the emails will be forwarded to me. You can still catch me at the door, but just in terms of kind of social distancing and things, it's probably better that any longer queries and things be used in an email. If your child's ill or is running late, please just use the office email for that, so only for admin queries. All other, if it's an email to me, please use the staff address. In May, your child will be sitting their SATs examinations, consisting of 4 days of testing, including a reading paper, a spelling paper, a punctuation and grammar paper, and 3 maths papers. As far as I'm aware, these tests are still going ahead in 2021. I'm guessing the government probably want to see what the impact of lockdown has been on children. This is something that we talk a lot about in Year 6, and we do lots of practice for and preparation for, which is really helpful for them to prepare, you know, for exams like they would at secondary school, and build up to these exams that mean a lot more to them, such as their GCSEs. However, we tell the children that it's just a snapshot of their attainment. It's one test on one day. It doesn't test for how great they are at music or at art or at PE, and it's not something they need to worry about. It doesn't affect children anyway, but it's good for them to try their best and want to do well in them as well. So we try and get that balance at St Mary's. We don't obviously expect any children to revise for them. All the preparation we do in school, and obviously if you are worried, you know, about your child's well-being, if you feel like it's causing them any anxiety, or you feel like they're talking about them quite a lot and just kind of focusing on test scores rather than actually, you know, their strengths and their next steps, please do come and see me, because we don't want these to affect them. We just want them to prepare and embrace them, but not actually affect their time in Year 6. We still value all the other subjects, and they're not compromised by, you know, we don't just focus on just the reading, the maths and the grammar and punctuation. We focus on all the subjects. In Year 6 we get to go on a very exciting residential trip to Little Canada, which is a site and centre on the Isle of Wight. This is for 5 days, Monday to Friday, and it'll be a chance for your child to try out lots of different activities such as kayaking, abseiling, climbing, fencing, trampolining. There's a giant swing. There's a great activity called the Leap of Faith. We have to climb up this wooden pole and jump off into the air. Loads of great activities to build on teamwork, thinking about their independence as they're staying away from school and home for a week, and also building that growth mindset and that resilience to, you know, face their fears and try out challenging activities. Finally, just wanted to talk a little bit about your child's transition to secondary school. There is a October deadline coming up for making your choices. I think Mrs. Parker sent that date out, so please do submit your choices by then. Jumping ahead to the summer, we'll be doing lots of work around transitioning, so to prepare your child as much as possible. Many local schools come and actually visit the child in the primary school. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that last year, but hopefully things will be maybe a little bit different this summer. It would be nice for your child to be able to speak to that teacher and find out a little bit more about the school and ask any questions or speak about any worries they have. Secondary schools do usually speak to me prior to your child coming, so they'll usually either come and visit or have a phone call or an email, and they usually ask for just some details, handover details about your child, which I'll give. Usually this involves my teacher assessment, so these are kind of the predicted grades for their SATs. Usually they'll sort of put a baseline for when your child starts secondary school, but often they will set their own tests at the beginning of Year 7 to decide what set your child will be in. Just to say that SATs results don't affect your child's place at all at secondary school, so it's not something you or your child need to worry about at all. They may ask for the results just to have a look at sort of where the child is, but it doesn't affect your application in any way. Thank you for reading and listening to the slides. I hope that's been helpful at all, and if you've obviously got any more questions or anything didn't make sense or you want me to clarify anything further, please don't hesitate to contact me via email and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for listening to me, and apologies again for not being able to be there in person. It's really hard doing this not without an audience. It feels a bit strange, but I hope that it's been useful anyway. So thank you, bye bye.